can we talk about the Great Replacement Theory now? Some of the things that you post, the Great Replacement Theory, you claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes. But undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections, so how is that possible?
Remember when the interview started, he said, why you think I'm liberal? And now he's asking questions. Why would you think that letting undocumented immigrants come to this country is going to be more votes for Liberal Party, for Democratic Party? What's the percentage of immigrants becoming Democrat and what's the percentage of immigrants becoming Republicans? And if you let so many undocumented immigrants to this country, how many Democrats you're going to have in the future in this country who are going to vote left? Probably a lot. And everybody knows that immigrants become Democratic because Democratic are supporting immigrant laws. And I'm immigrant myself, so I know it from the ground. 95% of the people who I know who move to this country are Democrats. So as the most recent data available, approximately 65% of Hispanic immigrants and 58% of Asian immigrants in the United States identify with or lean towards Democratic Party. Around 26% of Hispanic immigrants and 27% of Asian immigrants are aligned with or lean towards the Republican Party. Here's your answer: 65-58 and 26-27. And I'm talking about right now legal immigrants. I'm not talking about illegal immigrants. With illegal immigrants, all of them become Democratic Party because only Democratic Party let them stay here, and the Republican Party fighting against illegal immigration. Let's see what Elon Musk is going to answer to that.
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is Great Replacement Theory. The other is, which I don't subscribe to that. I'm simply saying that there is an incentive here. If legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, it's a very strong bias to vote Democrat. The more that come into the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But it is, in my view, a simple incentive to increase voters, Democrat voters. So the question is like how? So there's a few ways that this works. One is that when the census is done, the census is based on all people in an area, whether they are citizens or not. So if there are a concentration of people who came here illegally in a particular state or in a particular state, that state will actually then get an increased number of House seats. So the House seat apportionment is proportionate to the number of people, not the number of citizens. So the illegals overwhelmingly go to places like California and New York.
Yeah. I'm from New York, I know this.
If you just look at the math, if you look at the apportionment with and without illegals, I believe California would lose. I believe the blue state, there would be a net loss of blue states of approximately 20 seats in the House. You have a very basic incentive. You could say I'm wrong about that incentive, but that's my view. I'm not buying into. I didn't buying some great replacement theory. I'm simply saying there appears to be a very clear incentive for Democrats to maximize the number of illegals because it helps them win elections.
I'm talking about the Great Replacement Theory is also part of a Jewish conspiracy theory. And when you did the tweet, or you responded to the tweet about that, you ended up apologizing, and which I think is, it's good that you ended up apologizing.
By the way, he didn't apologize. He said you said actual truth in the comment on that tweet. He didn't say I'm sorry or something. I'm just saying, again, he putting some words to his mouth.
You went to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Right? So you said you learned your lesson. What did you learn?
He said he learned his lesson. Elon never said that. Again, he's just putting his voice to his mouth.
I said I learned my lesson.
You said you learned your lesson when you apologized, and you said you went to Auschwitz. You saw what.
No, I was already aware of these things, and the nature of my comment that really inflamed people. What I was trying to say, and I did very quickly clarify. This is what I'm saying: is that a number of prominent Jewish philanthropists fund groups that they should really take a closer look at funding, because some of the groups they fund, I think, are anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Do you understand the connection between the two? there's a connection between, you said Democrats, the Great Replacement Theory, but when it comes to the actual Great Replacement Theory, originally it was started about Jewish people, as you said, flooding in the country, and then now people are using it for Democrats, saying the same thing about Democrats. Flooding.
In my view, it's a simple matter of incentives.
Yeah.
I actually don't see an incentive for Jewish people to want to get legal immigration. I don't think there is such an incentive.
The Great Replacement Theory is a neo-Nazi trope. It's in the neo-Nazi manifesto. It's in the Turner Diaries. It's referenced by the Buffalo mass shooter in his manifesto, where 10 people, black people, were murdered in Buffalo. It's the actual title of the Christchurch Shooters Manifesto. 51 people in the Muslim mosque were murdered. 23 people murdered in El Paso by a shooter who used the same language that you use in that manifesto.
Man, I hate this. See the language that he's using? People were killed by mass shooter who used the same language as you are using. In every question that he wrote on his little paper right there, in every sentence that he's saying against Musk, he's trying to discredit him. He's trying to portray him as an evil being, evil billionaire who are against equality, against LGBTQ+. He's supporting racism. This guy came to this interview just for one reason, and one reason only, to get Elon Musk. And he is wondering why he fired him after that.
Say Hispanic invasion. Is that not?
I didn't say an Hispanic invasion.
You quoted a tweet that called it a Hispanic invasion.
If I quote something, it doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. It's just something that I think this is something worth people should consider.
Why would you quote something that you didn't believe in?
Because anything I quote is going to have a whole range of statements. It doesn't mean I agree with everything in it.
Do you think if you moderated yourself more, if there was better content moderation on the platform, that you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the Great Replacement Theory as it relates
I
to
don't have
Democrats?
to answer these questions.
He doesn't have to answer all these questions. He gives you an opportunity to have him as your guest, and he's giving you a job. He doesn't have to answer all these nonsense questions. And you don't have to ask him this kind of questions to him.
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
Finally, he said that, man, like, this guy needs to be putting down on his place, because whatever he's doing in this interview is not right. It's not correct. I don't like it. Comment below what you think about this. Is Elon Musk right to putting him on his place by saying this, or you think he's overreacting to his questions? I'm actually interested in your opinion.
So you don't think do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble, or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm criticized constantly. I could care less.
Exactly.
You don't care.
Whatever you're gonna do in your life, you're gonna be criticized by everyone. Your neighbor's gonna think something bad about you. Your friend's gonna think something bad about you. Your colleague's gonna think something bad about you. It's life. Whatever you do, good or bad, you're always gonna find people who are gonna support you and who are gonna criticize you. If somebody criticizing you gonna stop you for doing what you want to do, man, you're gonna live miserable life. And I encourage you not to listen and not to give it any thoughts. Do what you want to do with your life. I'm going to repeat myself from a previous episode on the podcast. The goal is to be happy, and the goal is to do what you want to do, as long as it's logical and as long as it's within legal norms.
I don't think people should care what the media thinks about them. They're terrible judges of character.
I don't think people should care what media thinks about them. I think that's an amazing answer, and especially to the journalists like Don Lemon.
You believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform?
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and we have a responsibility to be transparent about when things are shown, why they're shown. That's why we open source our algorithm.
100% agree with this.
I think once you start going beyond the law, now you're putting your thumb on the scale. And we don't want to put our thumb on the scale.
It doesn't concern you that hate speech has gone. Research shows that it's gone up on the platform since you took over. That's not concerning to you?
I believe that is false. In fact, the research that I've seen says it went down.
The study from the Institute of Strategic Dialogue found that anti-Semitic tweets doubled from June 22 to February 2023. One study reported that as many as 86% of the posts reported for hateful content remained up after being reported. Hate speech on the platform is up.
So what they will typically do is they will count the number of posts, but not count the number of views. So what matters is, was that post given high visibility, or what did like one person see it? And if you look at the number of views of how many.
Remember previously in this video, I was saying when you only hear one side of the story, you cannot know for sure what is right or what is wrong. But when you hear the answer, when you understand the whole story and you know all the angles about the story, now you can make your own decision about this topic. Don Lemon just said the amount of hate speech was doubled in your platform recently. And Elon Musk answered to him that maybe the amount of posts was doubled, but the amount of views that they are getting, comparing to the amount of views are getting another post that are not related to the hate speech, are significantly different. With this answer of Elon Musk, you have now a completely new narrative and information about this topic, and your opinion is changing. You can tell your friend, I have 10 cars on my garage, and he will say, wow, man, nice, 10 cars, that's amazing. 9 of them are not working, and only 1 are working. But you didn't say that. You said you have 10 cars in your garage. I encourage everyone who is subscribing to my channel. I encourage everyone who's listening to my podcast. I encourage everyone who's watching my videos. Develop critical thinking. And to have opinion about a certain topic, always know the whole story. Always try to see all the angles about the one situation and then decide your opinion about it. Don't try to jump to the conclusion just because you heard something or you saw something and you don't know the full image of the story.
How many times was hate content viewed on our platform? It is down substantially.
Yeah. Well, that's not was what the study shows. And you said you like transparency. I'm going to show you this. And
Don, you can get a study that will tell you whatever you want.
But these are just a handful of extremely. You look at those anti-Semitic and racist tropes and tweets, and as of this morning, they're still on X. And from your own content policy, these posts should have been deleted. So why haven't they been deleted? Why are they still there? Did you?
We delete things if they are illegal.
But these have been up there for a while.
Are they illegal?
They're not illegal, but they're hateful, and they can lead to violence. As I just read to you, the shooters, in all of these mass shootings, attributed social media to radicalizing.
So Don, you love censorship, is what you're saying?
No, I don't love censorship.
Then why are you asking?
I believe in moderation, but I don't believe in
censorship. Moderation is a propaganda word for censorship.
Well, don't you think free speech is?
Moderation is a propaganda word for censorship. This is actually a really good quote. Moderation is a propaganda for censorship. Basically, what he's trying to say is, if you're trying to moderate certain things, you're putting your thumb on the scale. And you putting your thumb on the scale, that means you are now deciding what is right and what is wrong. Not people, you. But what if the person who decides are biased about his opinion? Like previously he said, Twitter, 99% of his money that he was donating, it was donated to the political party on the left, to the Democratic Party. That means every post that we're going to be taking out, every decision that we're going to make about moderation content is going to be lenient towards beneficial of one political party, not another. Definition of freedom of speech is you supposed to say whatever you think, and public people in general deciding are you right or not one person or one group of people. Public people in general. This is actually the definition of freedom of speech. You can't let group of people, the company, or one person decide what can be said or not, because it's open the possibility that that person, that company will use that for their beneficial. I don't know if you're familiar with Soviet Union history. Marxism and Leninism, Marxism was created based on this. The whole idea about Marxism was we want everybody to be equal. But if you have rich and poor people in the country, how you can make them equal? You have to have a state so powerful, so you have ability to take money from the rich people, give it to the poor, and equalize them. When you have that much of power, maybe first generation of the people who inherit that power will not gonna abuse that. But second, third, we all know the history. We all know about Soviet Union. We all know about repressions. We all know how it started. We all know how it ended. And that wasn't a good end. People were killed. People were repressed. Government took money and properties from other people just to make sure that they are obedient, just to make sure they are not high profile enough to be to be threat to the regime. And with this ideology, basically you're creating the society that are punishing you for doing more and rewarding you for doing less. Just talking about this, it's reminding me on liberal states. If you're gonna think about this, you make more money, you pay more taxes. So the state punishing you for working more, making more. But if you make less money, if your income is low, you pay less taxes, you have free healthcare. Whatever happening right now is very similar to the Marxism. It's the definition how Soviet Union was created. And we all know how it ended. And I don't want the United States to be ending the same way that Soviet Union ended. Because there is a lot of similarities right now. And only time will show what's going to happen in the future.
One thing, right? Or not,
Look, if
not
something's illegal, we're going to take it down. If it's not illegal, then we're putting our thumb on the scale and we're being censors.
Exactly. 100% agree with this.
You're putting your thumb on the scale for moderating hate speech. I mean, you don't put out child pornography. That's not...
It's illegal.
Some people would say that's considered censorship. I'm just saying...
He's talking about legality. Why are you talking about what people think? He talks that Elon says if it's illegal, it's not going to be on the platform. That's it.
No, I literally, Don, I literally said, if something is legal, okay, we will obviously remove it.
Okay.
Exactly.
But if it's not legal, the laws in this country are put forward by the citizens. We're a democracy. If those laws are put in place by the people, we adhere to those laws.
Okay, I
we adhere to
agree.
the laws of others. If you go beyond the law, you're actually going beyond the will of the people.
Okay, agreed.
Good.
With the law.
Agree
But
with the
if
law.
you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility?
But if you're doing something that promotes hate and killing, you see again how he's structuring his questions.
Not to do that? When the people who are doing it admittedly are saying...
There's articles all the time that lead to violence and killing. Don't they? Shouldn't they? Like you're applying a differential standard to.
But that would never be in mainstream media. These types of images, that type of language, those things would never be. We'd never, when I was in mainstream media, we'd never promote things that would be anti-Semitic. We would never promote things that would.
Anti-Semitic either.
Did you not see those?
You said promote. If content is on
Mainstream media does not promote. Elon Musk or Twitter or X doesn't promote it either. If there's a post there and if we're not using their money and their ability to make that tweet viral, how we promote that? I think Don Lemon has really bad time understanding what's promoting certain ideologies and letting people express their opinion freely in this country. You just have hard time understanding the difference between it.
that doesn't mean we promote it.
But that wouldn't be on a platform for mainstream media at all.
No, but you can think of that's because the mainstream media has like whatever 20 articles a day. We have 500 million posts today.
Okay,
500
Exactly.
million.
Does it bother you? How do you feel about that when you see it?
I obviously disagree with that. I think it's not good at all. It's terrible.
But you don't want to get rid of it on the platform, or at least moderate it.
The rules. What you're suggesting is censorship that goes beyond the law. And what I'm saying is
100%.
that we, I guess, have a disagreement because I do not believe in censorship that goes beyond the law, and you do. We have a difference of opinion in that regard. But if nobody reads it, it doesn't matter. So you can think of X as being, it's much like the internet. It's not some tiny publication with like 20 articles a day. It's 500 million.
But everyone has the opportunity to read it, Elon.
Everybody has the opportunity to Google and find anything on the internet. You can't cancel the internet.
It's not
I think
that-
everyone
you
has
don't
the
know who's
opportunity to
gonna
read the internet. Are you suggesting we should shut down the internet?
Everybody has the opportunity to post something on the internet. You think we should cancel the internet? This is just as logical as it could be. And there is no answer.
In your platform. And so I see how you feel now. You don't agree. We don't agree on this.
Yes, you want censorship and I don't.
No, I don't want censorship at
Yes,
all.
you do.
No, I want responsibility. I think there...
You desperately want censorship.
No, if I want a
You
censorship...
want censorship so bad you can taste it.
No, that's not true. It's not true. I
I like
think
there's
that
some
there's
kind
right
of
and
fun in
wrong.
this interview.
And I think
therefore
that,
you want censorship.
and I think that when you have a platform that's as big as yours and as powerful as yours and as influential as yours, and you are a person of consequence to the world with what you do, that there is a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. And I think that's important. You don't see that responsibility.
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and if people want the law changed, they should talk to their elected representative and get the law changed, and then we will adhere to the law.
Okay.
But if you want us to go beyond the law, that is us deciding to be censors.
So,
And I'm against censorship. I'm in favor of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech only is relevant when people you don't like say things you don't like. Otherwise, it has no meaning.
Wow. And freedom of speech is only relevant when the people you don't like say the things that you don't like. Otherwise, it doesn't have any meaning. I 100% agree with this quote. If I talk to someone who has different opinion from me and he's free to express his opinion and we can discuss this thing and we can come to the conclusion who is right, who is wrong, or we're going to have our own opinions, but we're still going to remember this conversation, that's the definition of freedom of speech. If I will talk to the people and people will tell me only the things that I think is right and will be scared to tell me that I'm wrong, that's not freedom of speech. That means that everything will be one-sided. And if everything will be one-sided, I think as a country, as a human beings, we evolve because of our difference. Somebody is a doctor, somebody is a construction worker, somebody is a taxi driver, somebody can fix stuff, somebody can create stuff. Because of all our differences, from year to year, we are evolving and becoming better. If we will be all similar to each other, if we will be all equal with our thoughts with each other, I don't think society would be able to evolve. I don't think we as a human being will be able to progress so much.
but I do think that there should be guardrails. And I believe in free speech as much as you.
You don't believe in the free speech as much as Elon Musk. You basically, the whole thing that we're trying to say here, you are trying to limit free speech, or you're saying that you are trying to be the person who is going to be deciding what is free speech is. That's not a free speech. That's the definition of dictatorship. That's opposition of free speech. That's completely opposite of what free speech is all about.
I would fight. I don't disagree. I don't agree with a lot of what you put out on social media, but I will fight for your right to be able to say it.
Great.
If you want to watch another clip from this episode, click right here. And if you want to watch full episode, click right here. Thanks a lot. Bye.